I am our migration strategy lead for our cloud program. We're in the process over the next few years of moving many of our applications to the cloud. So for those less familiar with technology, right, taking things that run on physical servers today and putting them to run on virtual servers on the internet, essentially, right? So it's very interesting work. I am learning a ton because I don't come from technology, but so certainly learning agility is helpful, right? If you're doing either a JD or MBA, you need to be able to learn things quickly. Certainly, if you're doing both at the same time, not only do you need to be able to learn quickly, but you need to be able to shift gears relatively quickly, right?
So you moved from the hospital, the Cleveland Clinic, into technology. That must have been a very jarring experience. How did that transition in your mind work?
Honestly, I was a little bit nervous, but I knew who I was going to work for, and that I had learned pretty quickly is honestly maybe more important than the work that you're doing, right? Is like the culture of the organization that you're working with. So I did feel like I had some backup there. There were absolutely times during my first probably month that I was like, what did I sign up for? I have no clue what anyone's talking about. A lot of the people I worked with had been in their role for a very long time. Banking was what they knew. And I had to acquaint myself with the fact that I didn't even know like how my paycheck got into my bank account. Right. So, and that's the sort of stuff I was learning. So it was jarring, but I think that, particularly with the MBA, there are certain core foundational skills that you can use no matter what you're doing, right? That being able to work with people, certainly data analytics, right? For anyone that took any of the advanced stats classes, I would even say operations, right? So even if you're not in an operations role, being able to map through processes and understand how things work, that's going to be useful wherever you go. So I think that sort of helped me through a little bit of that tough time. And then I think, you just have to see how can you take those skills that maybe others coming from a different background don't have and push yourself forward. So one thing that I've found, and I think I would attribute this to both law school and business school, is communication, right? So as lawyers, we're taught to be exceptionally careful with the words that we use. And in business school, you have a lot of opportunity to work with people. And so I have found that in the world of technology, which can oftentimes be kind of cold, right? Like it's very fact driven. It's, hey, the code says this is what it spits out. If we break it, here's how we fix it, right? I think that being able to communicate and communicate between groups is really, really useful, right? So I can listen to our executive team say this is their vision, this is the strategy they're going for, and translate it to our engineers in a way that doesn't sound scary, that gets them excited, but that it is also, again, choosing your words very carefully, absolutely true, right? And something I've had people say to me in meetings, and they're like, you've sold 4 different groups on this and you've never told them the same thing. I'm like, right, because I'm telling them what's important to them. I'm not lying to any of them. Everything I've said is true. It's not necessarily relevant to everyone. So I would say that that's a way that I've been able to sort of take my degrees and use them in maybe a less traditional way, but that sort of set me apart from some of my counterparts.
And it's funny that you say that the communication is such an important thing. I just had an evaluation at my job, my internship, and one of the things that my manager said, she said, that what you've done is this is great for an attorney's eyes, but we need to at some point translate this to the client. So I'm in house, so the client is some of the employees of the business, and that's something you don't really learn in either MBA school or law school exactly. It's kind of just something that you have to learn on the spot. And that's something I agree with you that the degrees do a good job at helping prepare you for. And it sounds too like, did you specialize in coding of some kind at the MBA, or was that just you had to learn? And what was that like?
I did not. I took a single computer science class in college because I had to. I minored in physics, and so we had to do a bunch of different science classes. I remember none of it, but it's something that I wanted to understand better. Now, I could not code anything. If something breaks, I can't fix it, but I wanted to understand how our coders work, right? What are they doing? And so something that I've, for example, invested a lot of time in is understanding the different ways to code, right? There are people today who code things by literally typing in lines and lines and lines. Many of our teams use really cool things called pipelines where they make little changes here and there and it automatically updates applications. And so I think that that's something that I've always taken very seriously is when I'm working with a group, and especially if I am recommending how they should do things, or if I am recommending strategy for them, I need to, at least at some level, understand how they work. I don't need to be able to do their job because I would have to take a very large break to learn how to code like they code, right? I work with master engineers and people that are truly incredible, but I want to at least understand, what does their day look like? How do they know the changes they need to make so that we can help improve processes and develop our strategy for the future?